Hello and welcome my astrology friends, and welcome to your August 2026 astrological forecast for the month ahead. In this video I'm going to be taking a look at the overview of what to expect, which planets and zodiac signs are going to be making the headlines, and also in the second part your sun sign, rising sign, all 12 zodiac signs will be looking at the month ahead. Now, before I get started, please subscribe to the channel. It really does help spread the word of astrology, and also like the video if you do like it. Okay, so let's get started by the overview, because I tell you what, it's another big month. Oh yes, eclipses. We're back into eclipse season, and the two signs that are going to be really activated are Leo and Pisces. We've got a total solar eclipse on the 12th. That's at 20 degrees in Leo, and then on the 28th, 4 degrees in Pisces, we've got a partial solar eclipse. So we're in eclipse seasons. Now, I always say this, that eclipses have a period of about 6 to 9 months that from the day that they're activated continuing. Also, eclipses have a 19-year cycle as well, so look out to what happened 19 years ago and some of the decisions, which of course would be around about 2007 here. But eclipses are always powerful, always exaggerated, always magnify situations to a certain degree, and I think that this month is a month that, after the chaos and unpredictability of July, I think that what's going to be happening here is this is the time when we really get to work on a new shift, a new awareness, and a new way of looking at life. And that means that for a lot of you, it's getting rid of some of the aspects that have been holding you back in allowing you to move forward in a life and the direction that you want to go into. This is extremely powerful. There's so much going on here that I've got to kind of just take it one step at a time, really. First of all, the Pluto opposing Jupiter in the sky. It's separating. Jupiter starts off at 7 degrees in Leo, and by the end it's at 13 degrees, whereas Pluto is still retrograde. Starts at 4 degrees, ends up at 2 degrees by the end of the month. So that magnification that we experienced in July is not so direct as it has been. So things seem a little bit calmer because of that situation. Also in July, we had the Mars conjunction with Uranus. That's sort of separated. And in fact, Mars does make a, goes into, around about the 11th, goes into Cancer. And as soon as it does that, it squares Neptune, which is in Aries. So we've got a Mars-Neptune square to contend with, which is very nebulous and funny, and old structures, old behaviors, and it doesn't really kind of bode well. That's a bit of a funny one, because of course, I always say that Saturn rules society and Neptune is kind of like the rock and roll planet, the planet of escapism, the planet of culture in some ways, and art and advertising and marketing, and this, so the advertising, the marketing, the culture that is coming through is completely against the Saturn, which is the conjunction that's been with Aries, but now it's got Mars in the flavour by squaring, which totally kind of makes it really difficult, because it's a concoction of things that just not working. Old systems not working, old ways of doing things not working, and therefore that puts a certain amount of pressure on a lot of us. A lot of us are going to feel like, oh, hang on here, this is just going too quickly. Life's going too quickly. And it's interesting because it's very similar to my sense with this, to what we had pre-lockdown and pre-pandemic, is this kind of sense. 2019 for a lot of people was like, oh right, things are going too fast, I can't keep up. And it's gonna feel a little bit similar with this kind of energy that's going on. Mercury is out of its retrograde period that came out in around about late July, so that's good. Venus is going to go into Libra on the 6th, into its own zodiac sign, but it's going to oppose Saturn, it's going to oppose Neptune. So again, that's making things a little bit more difficult for all of us, really. because Venus is like how we relate to each other, and then you've got it opposing Neptune, which is going to kind of confuse things, and opposing Saturn, which is also trying to put structure on that here as well. We've got Uranus that is hurtling through Gemini, starts off at 5 degrees, ends at 5 degrees, but for Uranus it's going quite fast. It will be soon turning retrograde. Chiron also starts turning retrograde about the 4th in Taurus as well. It's starting to make its mark. It's a really kind of strange one that's taking place. Now, let me just talk about that solar eclipse on the 12th, because I'm really positive about this. Why am I positive? Because it's a wide conjunction to Jupiter, very wide conjunction, but it's still in the same sign. And I like that. I think that's really kind of nice. If we look at the symbolism of just Leo, you know, the royal sign of the Zodiac, you know, it to me symbolizes fiery stability. It's a fixed sign. It puts certain people in positions of authority that maybe can give a lot of positivity, maybe can start to look at the big picture, maybe can do things differently that has not been done before. It's that kind of energy that starts to work through with this particular solar eclipse. And I think from a political point of view that new people are going to kind of come up to the surface that are going to have a much more positive message for us all, that is going to be part of the narrative that's going to go stepping forward here. There's been a lot of talk of, you know, sextiles and trines between the outer planets and stuff like that, particularly in July. And you know, these are like planting seeds for the future, absolutely, and they are positive. But if the old order and the old way of doing things still dominates, then that can have quite an impact on us all. So we get this friction between the new way of doing things and the old way of doing things. We've been in that for some time. This is nothing new, but I think it's going to become more apparent as we go forward with this particular energy. It's very, very powerful. The one on the 28th, which is the partial lunar eclipse, that's around about 4 degrees in Pisces. That's kind of the end of a particular cycle. And I think this is kind of really interesting, because for me that energy kind of symbolizes almost like a process of us realizing as a collective that actually we have come to the end of that cycle. And that's when I get the sense of this kind of feeling that everything's a bit too much now. We can't keep up. We can't do the way we used to do things. And so it's either kind of, as individuals, you go, well, I'm waking up to this, right? Things are different. Or you go along and continue to carry on with what you've been doing and hope the best, that it'll be all right. But I just kind of feel like for a lot of us, it'll be like a wake-up call, or go, hang on, things are very, very different. So really kind of powerful stuff here. Saturn is retrograde, of course, in Aries. So if you're in a Saturn perfected year, you might find that things have slowed down. You know, Venus, as I talked about, goes into Libra. For me, it's got that kind of energy about it that is a little bit quieter than July. A little bit quieter than July. It feels a bit more stable, but still just as powerful. You know, just as powerful. But it's that speed that everything is going forward, that I think is the real kind of thing that a lot of people are going to find a little bit tricky, a little bit difficult to handle, first of all. And this is really important to remain grounded within this, like really important. The second half is a bit more difficult because of Mars Square in Neptune. And that's going to be the challenging aspect really going on here. You know, it's Aries wants to initiate, but Neptune is diluting it. Mars wants to initiate, but Cancer is diluting it. So there's a kind of a passive aggressive energy that's sort of taking place with these two aspects. You know, and you have Saturn, as I said earlier, joining the party, going retrograde in Aries as well, so that's making aspects as well. So that's where the difficulty kind of lies here. This also could be to do with property prices or property in general, coming up quite a bit during the second half of August. From an economical point of view, I think that it's not the most positive combination, because it brings about old kind of wounds that we already know about, and it coming up much more to the surface. Like I said, there's this kind of hamster around the wheel, keep on going, keep on going, keep on going. How long can we keep on going like this? You know, it's that. And so the second half, I think, is a slightly coming to a boiling point for a lot of people, where they kind of feel like, I can't be doing this like this anymore. I can't keep this up. There has to be a different way. And as soon as the collective starts talking in those kind of terms, that's when things really begin to, you know, take over. Okay, final thing before we go into the 12 signs of zodiacs. Okay, that Pluto in Aquarius, I've talked a lot about it. The robot's taking over. You know, AI is becoming rife. It's becoming making huge impacts on people now, and that's being talked about and communicated effectively. Obviously, the Pluto is going retrograde, so it re-emphasizes that kind of energy. And I think that we're seeing some detrimental aspects to that, or that's exaggerated the hamster around the wheel syndrome that I was talking about, where we just feel like we're just trying to keep up constantly. We can't keep up with a technology that is having an impact on people and people's lives, on people's businesses, on people's jobs, and this is having a detrimental effect on society in general, and we're starting to see this impact that it's having. A lot of people are talking about Pluto in Aquarius as being quite positive. I'm not so sure. If we look at Aquarius, it's a fixed air sign. It's stubborn. I know that Pluto in Capricorn, a lot came up to the surface to institutions, stuff like that, and yeah, completely, you know, government institutions, the status quo coming up to the surface being challenged. We don't trust the status quo anymore. However, in Aquarius, there is an equality there that wants to bring everyone together. But you know, it's how are you going to do that, and is that done in the right way? And I think that the technology has taken us away from the human element of ourselves and as a collective. And if you look at that in a deeper essence, Aquarius has that capability of being objective and almost alien-like, excuse me, Aquarians, almost alien-like in their responses to situations, which can be good, but also, on a collective term, can be a little bit too objective, too detached from human emotions and human behavior. And therefore, that can have a major impact on all of us. Okay, I've done my monologue now. Okay, let's go into the 12 signs of the zodiac. This is for your sun sign and your rising sign. So if you've got like a sun sign in Cancer, but your rising sign is Sagittarius, then listen to both. And obviously listen to people, partners, family, friends, stuff like that as well to get an idea. Okay, so let's go straight into Aries sun and Aries rising. All right, Aries. Oh, every time I talk about Aries, I'm like, this is one of the zodiac signs that's really, really busy. Neptune, Saturn traveling in their own sign. We've got that Mars going in from around about the 11th into your 4th house to contend with squaring Saturn, squaring Neptune. So the individuality, i.e. you trying to make decisions, and the obligations that you have with property, family, the home life, and your own inner motivations are going to be challenged this month. This is a very, very strong period of tension here. But Aries are kind of getting used to that, you know. So your ruler in the second half of the month is going to be tested quite a bit. And it's about, you know, taking a little bit of a step back for yourself. It's going to be mainly squaring Neptune in your first house. The first house is all about you. So Aries are going on a little bit of a spiritual journey, a little bit of an awakening, a little bit of a kind of identity crisis to some extent, and looking at, and softer aspects are coming through. But this Mars is going to challenge that. So it challenges you to step outside yourself, to be a bit more assertive than you've perhaps been, and needing to take those steps in order to get things kind of moving in your own life. Venus is going to go in your 7th house from about the 6th onwards, which is very, very nice for relationships in general, get along with people and seeing other people's point of view. So even though you're going through this difficult Mars square in Neptune, it really is affecting you. You've also got the Venus in the 7th house, which is helping other people, helping you to get things moving and supporting you. So it really is like you're getting some difficulty, but you're also getting a lot of support, which is going to be great for you, because you kind of need that at this particular stage. Because without it, I think you'd be kind of lost at sea a little bit. So take that on board. Partners, friendships, business associates really kind of helping you during this particular period, which is really, really good. I think the Saturn going retrograde in your own 1st house is kind of making you reflect a little bit more on some of the decisions that you've recently made. And that's exactly what you should do when Saturn, which rules your work, so it's a lot to do with your work and your career, is going retrograde. Don't make any big decisions. Take your time out. See how things play out. Okay, Taurus Sun, Taurus Rising. Okay, Taurians. Chiron. First of all, Chiron is going retrograde very early, around about the 4th, in your own sign. That's not going to hit you too much immediately. The big one is your ruler Venus, around about the 7th, will go into Libra. Now, Taurus and Libra are what we call in aversion to each other, or quincunx. They're 150 degrees apart. They don't have much of a relationship, apart from the fact that both ruled by Venus. And so the relationship is kind of a little bit sort of strained. So this Venus, although it's comfortable, it's in its rulership in Libra, you're not going to see the benefits as much as you would kind of like. But the big one is that solar eclipse on the 12th, hitting your 4th house while Jupiter is going on there as well. So look out for big decisions about home, about property, about moving, about family, about ancestral aspects here, about your deepest needs and what you want. It's a big moment. Obviously, like I said earlier, solar eclipses have a 6-month basis to them, around about. Sometimes they can carry on to 9 months, but generally they say to 6 months. So expect that to formulate and come through until February of next year. A lot of movement. That solar eclipse is huge for you. Plus you've got Jupiter traveling in that 4th house. So it's all about family. It's all about property that's going on. Obviously, you've also got the Pluto factor in your 10th house opposing Jupiter, opposing also this solar eclipse. So a lot is going on there. So between the home and the career. The career, everything's magnified. Everything has been magnified. A little bit of calm down for you in August. If it's been just too crazy, don't worry about it. It will get easier. But there is a huge amount of inner work that you have to do during this particular period and to get through. Okay? Right, let's go into Gemini, sun sign Gemini rising. First week and a half, Mars is in your own zodiac sign, making it a busy time for you, Geminis, which you like. And then it will go into your 2nd house from about the 11th. And the 2nd house is all about the financial aspects of your life, but also your self-value, your possessions, how you're making money as well, you know. And I think that the Mars, when Mars goes in the 2nd house, it's kind of like it puts a certain assertiveness in making money. Right, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to be really disciplined. I'm going to really push it. That's what Mars does. But it's in Cancer and it's going to be squaring Neptune. So this is leading to, normally without that, I'd be saying, right, you're just going to work hard. But now it's a little bit different because it's kind of like, well, you want to work hard, but you feel like you can't. You're not clear about what you want. You're not clear about your own self-value. You're not clear about that you have the capability of making the money that you would like, or you're not clear about your own vision for the future in terms of your finances. This kind of is difficult. It's a difficult one here. Look, I'm going to say to you, Geminis, try not to make any financial decisions during this particular period. Just don't. Just leave it alone if you can. It's not always the case. Sometimes we have to. But in terms of how you make your money, or if you're in a job and you think, right, okay, I want to leave, then just get through to September. Because I just kind of feel that, you know, it could change with the hour. Meaning that you could go, I want to leave this job. And then an hour later, you go, I don't want to leave this job. You're not clear. That Mars squaring Neptune in the sky is really deeply affecting you, and it's not clear what you actually want, and that's okay. Sometimes you don't have to know what you want at different stages and different periods of your life. That's fine, as long as you accept that and go, but that will change. It's not permanent. You know, I just think Geminis are in a little bit of a quandary regarding their own kind of finances here that makes it a little bit more difficult here. Good communication though, generally, you know, Jupiter's in the third house, the solar eclipse hits your third house as well on the 12th here. But, you know, you've got the Uranus as well. We've had the Uranus conjunct to Mars, and Uranus is still in your own sign, will be for about 6 years. But just be kind of a little bit step back from it. Don't make any major decisions, particularly with regard to work. It's to do with your lifestyle and do with you as a person developing. Absolutely, go for it, because, you know, the Uranus is getting you to break new grounds. So that's really kind of important. Okay, Cancer Sun, Cancer Rising. Right, it's that second half, the 11th. Mars goes into your own zodiac sign, squares Neptune. Wow. That's to do with work. There's a lot going on with work around you. Has been because of Neptune, because of Saturn, Cancerians. And now you've got Mars in your first house. So you are trying to get things moving with work. You are trying to get things moving in your personal life. You're trying to change your status and the way that you're seen. It's hard work. Because the Mars particularly squaring Neptune, it's going to add to a bit of confusion as to how you put yourself forward and how other people receive you and see you in a position of authority or in a business sense, if you own your own business. So there's a lot going on here that you've got to get through. This is a challenge that both these planets are in your angular houses. You are going to be affected a lot by hunches, by intuition. Some of it's going to be on the money, some of it's just not. You're going to feel like you need to push yourself forward because that Mars, I need to push for that. I need to get forward. I need to get things done. But you might not be able to get things done as much as you would like. And therefore that becomes problematic. However, if we look at the solar eclipse on the 12th, that's hitting your second house. That's hitting your financial house. So decisions being made regarding you and your finances. I'm not saying on that day, like I say, I keep saying eclipses have a 6-month basis. So look out for decisions being made around about the middle of August that will pan out or play out until February next year. But don't try and push it forward. Don't try and force things, because Mars will want you to do that. Remember, Mars is not happy in Cancer. It's not. It's in its fault. It struggles. It really struggles. It doesn't mean that it cannot work. Of course it can work, but you just need to be aware that it's much more sensitive, volatile, that combination. Things could spark off into action quite quickly if you're not careful. So you just got to be kind of mindful of that. Big month for you, Cancerians. Lot going on. By the end of the month, you should have a bit more of a clearer idea of where you stand, particularly with working matters. Let the fog clear slightly in your ambition. Okay, Leo Sun, Leo Rising. Right, guys, big month for you. So Jupiter's in your own sign, firmly situated in your own zodiac sign. You got the solar eclipse on the 12th in your own sign. I mean, that's at 20 degrees, so that's going to affect a lot of you who are born the end of Leo. But it's all first house. It's all expansion. It's all growth. It's all about you. Leos are like that. It's all about how you initiate things, how you get things moving, the ideas that you have and how you want to translate it to the world and the world around you, how you want the world to see you. You know, expansion, education, training, jobs, opportunities, development, travel, maybe, your own morals, your own ethics, your own spiritual journey, your own purpose. This feels like by the second half of the month, a new start for you all. We still got Jupiter and Pluto in opposition. I know it's a lot wider, but we still got to contend with magnification, or things get a little bit out of hand, or things seeming quite just bigger than you expect. So that can be good and that can be not so good, whatever's going on in your life. But just look out for that. Just be careful about that. Try not to be too over idealistic. Try not to think that you can get away with stuff that you can't. Be mindful that things are going to be a little bit more, you know, need a bit more of your detail involved, and not to skip things or think things will just be okay just because you got Jupiter on your side or you feel that way. Try not to do that. That's not going to work for you. But it's a fabulous like month. Really great, really nice, and you're just going to really kind of enjoy it and get a load from it. You know, and I think Leos feel like they've just sort of woken up and are ready, and that's really, really good for them. Okay, Virgos, Virgo rising, Virgo sun sign. I'm going to just talk about the 28th because we got the partial solar eclipse in your opposite side. So this is about relationships, and we'll kind of build up a lot throughout the month about relationships and how you are interacting with other people on a deeper, more intimate level. That's going to be really kind of important to you, how you connect with them. And my kind of sense with a lot of Virgos is that they're reaching out to people a lot more. They're trying to connect. They're trying to bring them forward. And yet, partial lunar eclipses can always mean, a lot of them say about the ending of a particular cycle, but maybe the way that you react to people or respond to people is changing in your own mind, and you're looking at it in a different way. And I think that's quite apt. Still a lot going on in your career with that Uranus. Been a bit of a crazy month in July because of the Uranus conjoining with Mars in your 10th house. So that things have moved. Be careful with other people in how they respond to you in the work environment. You've had a dose of Mars, which is now subsiding. So you've had a dose of anger or biting from other people that has been, you might have taken as being aggressive or assertive, you know, but you've certainly been put into a situation where you've been projected upon by other people and anger and stuff like that. So just be kind of mindful of that. So that's less so, and things might unfold. But look, in your career, it's going to be unpredictable. Uranus is really making waves. It always does at the early part of the sign, and it really, really is. And I think that is having big impact on you, massive impact on you, in terms of, you know, how you feel about yourself, and that's going to kind of be a continuum of that. So it's just getting used to that a lot, and used to that particular energy. Okay, Libra sun, Libra rising. Round about 7th, Venus goes into your own sign. Fantastic. You need that. Venus gives you a little bit of luxury. It does oppose Neptune. It does oppose Saturn. So it's good, and then it's like, oh, right, you got work to do. And that's the thing about Librans. They have got a lot of work to do that's sort of taking place with them. It's kind of giving and then taking. It really is, in terms of the universe and how it kind of works for you at the moment. It will certainly make things a little bit easier. I mean, I think that a lot of Librans are still getting used to the Neptunian energy and the Saturn energy. They're working hard, but they're also kind of going into their own kind of fantasy world. And it's known to sort of pull yourself out and go, come on, you know, let's deal with the real world here. Let's be a bit more active. You might not feel as confident as you normally would because of that Neptune. It sort of dissolves the sense of ego, the sense of structure. And sometimes you need to break out of that and plant yourself and keep yourself grounded. A lot of Librans need to do that at the moment. Escapism can come in, and Neptune can kind of zap your energy levels. You know, the positive manifestation of Neptune, a lot of it is great for spirituality, great for creativity, anything that transcends, takes you out of yourself, but always remain grounded, always remain solid. You know, Neptune can get a bit lost in a lot of ways, and I think that it's all happening in your opposing house, the 7th house, which is to do with other people and how you see other people, and you might think that they see you in a particular way, which is not true. So it's getting the boundaries are getting confused around that, and you've just got to look at that and go, right, okay, I don't need that as much. I need to step away and not be taken in a sort of magic carpet ride that sometimes can happen under Neptune. Stay grounded, stay with reality, work on your spirituality, work on your creativity, enjoy those kind of subject matters, get involved in them, escape through them, not escaping from life and reality. Very important, Librans. Okay, Scorpio, Sun, Scorpio rising. Where your traditional ruler is Mars, and as I said, from about the 11th, Mars is going to be squaring Neptune. Oh, it's going to be a little bit of a tricky one for you Scorpios. It's going to be, how can I put this? Like, I think a lot of it is the communication zone. The 3rd and the 9th houses have been activated here, and therefore you're going to have to learn to communicate more effectively. You might find that there's a bit of smoke and mirrors in communication, or you'll feel that you're not communicating in an effective way. It's about checking your motivation. It's about using your famous intuition and knowing when to communicate and when it's the right thing, instead of doing it just because you feel like you need to communicate under that kind of umbrella. That's really kind of important. If you could do that, then it's going to help you a huge amount. It's a tricky month. It's full of subtleties. It's full of emotions. It's full of things in the background. Scorpios kind of love that, but at the same time, you just got to be a little bit careful that you're not entering into a labyrinth of your own making. That's what I can sometimes see with Scorpios, with this combination. There is a lot of challenging going on here, and you know, a lot of this is also to do with the work scenario for you, you know, and the work environment that's getting a little bit tricky. And so you've got to be kind of very aware that things are not what they seem, and people are not what they seem, and that's okay, but you don't have to figure it out. You don't have to figure out what the motivation is. I need to know where they're coming from. You've got to let it go. Okay, Sagittarius rising, Sagittarius sun, Jupiter in the fire sign, Leo. Great. Activating your visionary aspect here. You're kind of getting very cocky in your energy, kind of a little bit like, okay, this is great, I can do what I want, thanks very much. You're kind of getting into that. You've got to be a little bit careful of that here, because I think sometimes you could overpromise or take on too much. And I think at the moment there's a kind of, I won't do what I need to do. I don't need to do it. I do what I want to do. Thanks very much. I think there's a bit of that going on here. Sometimes that's not bad, you know, but like, you know, I kind of think like there's a lot here that would mean that you've got to just be extra careful with it. Okay, so the big news for you is going to be the lunar eclipse on the 28th, because that's hitting your 4th house, the house of the home, the family and stuff like that. It may be issues that are coming to a bit of a conclusion there, or even a crescendo period where you're kind of like, oh, right, that's coming up, because there's a lot happening around there. Has been a lot happening over the last 2.5 years in that section of your life, and that's coming to a conclusion. Even on an internal basis, you will feel that, and you'll kind of go, right, that's now done. So that's going to be a big thing. But yeah, you're feeling quite optimistic, Sagittarius. You're kind of getting into this flow of like, yeah, Jupiter's on my side, and Jupiter could do things and give me this and give me that. It's very good. More likely, you just want to pack your bags and go and get going. Fair enough. That's what Sagittarius do. I understand. I get it. Okay, Capricorn sun, Capricorn rising. Your ruler, Saturn, is retrograde in your 4th house. Things to do with family, things to do with the home, things to do with your own internal rhythm, your own inner work, your own motivation is certainly going to be a key factor. However, let's talk about Mars from the 11th entering into your 7th house. And squaring from the 7th to the 4th. Busy time for Capricorns. That second half is going to be hold on to your hats, because you Capricorns are going to have to be extremely patient. It's not you that's the problem. It's going to be other people and their expectations of you that's going to make things a little bit tricky with you on this one. It's going to make it like you're going to have to be quiet and listen, you know. The good news is, you know, Venus is going into your 7th house, into your career sector, which kind of helps you an awful lot, because it kind of gives you a kind of an escapism, which is your work, and Capricorns love that, so that will be fine. But other people, relationships might be tense, they might be unclear, you might have to state your intentions a bit more clearly than you've done in the past, and you might have to be a lot more just steadier in the way that you approach people, yourself, a lot. I feel very, very strongly here. There's a lot of financial stuff going on, but I don't think it's going to come to the surface this month, but I think it's in the background. That's to do with your 2nd and 8th houses, Pluto, a lot of activation going on there, and the solar eclipse on the 12th is also hitting the 8th house. So you can see that things are going to be a little bit more in the background of things coming up to do with your finances and other people's finances. Tricky month for you, the second half, but you'll get through it. You'll be fine. Okay, Aquarius Sun, Aquarius Rising. Yeah, Aquarians are kind of going through it at the moment. They've had the Jupiter opposing the Pluto that's kind of magnified things that's been going on. Jupiter is in the 7th house, which is other people, so other people expansion, other people driving the narrative in your life here. But then we've got, on the 12th, we've got that total solar eclipse hitting your 7th house, which is new beginnings to do with relationships, to do with other people helping you, supporting you, helping you grow. There's a lot to do with other people. But here's the thing about Aquarians, is they've got that Pluto in the 1st house that's kind of go, yeah, but what about me? Where am I in this? So what's happening with Aquarians is they're kind of getting a little bit kind of like, not selfish, I think that's too strong of a word, but certainly going, what about me? Where's my control factor in this? Remember, as much as people say about Aquarians being wacky and crazy, they are fixed signs. They're traditionally ruled by Saturn. They're not the unconventionalists that they sometimes portray. They actually like to be in control. And I think at the moment they'll feel, hang on, it's all this happening. Other people are driving the narrative for me. Other people making decisions for me. What about me? What do I want? I think there's been a bit of that stamping one's feet in August that's gonna come in. Sometimes you need to do that, just to do it and just to get it out in the open instead of holding it back in, which Aquarians can sometimes do. They're unique. So Aquarians sometimes go, I do not bow to all this human behavior and pettiness. I'm above that. And that leads them into problems, because they don't express themselves, and then it just builds up and builds up, and then it becomes this explosion, erraticness that sometimes Aquarians are known for, because it's all it is like they haven't dealt with their emotions because they're not necessarily comfortable with that, because they think they're above that. And we need Aquarians to be like that, because we need that objectivity. So it's not a bad thing I'm saying, and not criticism. I'm just saying that, you know, at the moment Pluto's giving you power, but Jupiter's taking it away because it's taking it to other people, and it's trying to get that balance. Busy month, a lot of diplomacy that's going to come through for Aquarians. Okay, Pisces Sun, Pisces Rising. Okay, Pisces, you're leading up to the partial lunar eclipse on the 28th in your own sign that's taking place. I think a lot for Pisces, a lot of this is the expansion in the working environment. There's a new start on the 12th with the total solar eclipse in your 6th house. There's Jupiter in your 6th house. Jupiter's kind of okay in the 6th house. It kind of gives a lot, but then also you've got to work hard. So there's a lot of that kind of energy that's going on, of like expansion within work environment. Lots to do with your health as well, how you look after yourself, what you eat, stuff like that. You may feel like you're going on a new cycle with that. You may feel that there's a new cycle to do with service to others, and how you have to deal with people on an everyday basis, on a more mundane level. Your daily routine is about to change, and it's for the benefit, because it means that you as a person are becoming a little bit more grounded, a little bit more practical with that is helping you to move things forward. There's a little bit of that craziness happening in the home environment because of the Uranus factor you've got to deal with. But generally, for most Pisces, this is since a positive month where things can really kind of begin to play out nicely. And at least you know where you are in August, because July was a little bit crazy for you and all over the place. There we go. Done it again. Subscribe, like the video. Please do. It helps to spread the word of astrology. It's been a pleasure talking to you all. Hope to see you soon. Keep watching and enjoy August. Thank you for watching.